had an incident the other day where two officers were fired upon trying to conduct a traffic stop. And then just before that, the day before, they were again attempting to apprehend an individual who fired shots at them. And, you know, there was a call to action from the community. I asked the community, where is the outrage? Because, you know, these officers work tirelessly to make sure that this city is safe. And, you know, we just need to make sure that we have a community in that criminal element that is going to support that. So, you know, it's disheartening, but it makes us go after the element even that much harder, making sure that we're going to rid the streets of that criminal element. And so we continue to show up. We continue to do the job. We continue to be more aggressive in our efforts, and we will continue that fight.
Well, Chief, we are certainly grateful for your force being out there. We live up by Northeast up here, and so, you know, grateful for the men and women who are here and throughout our city. How are you were talking about some individual instance. How is crime overall in the city currently? What's up? What's down? Can you give us an overview?
Absolutely. When we look at violent crime, we'll take you back to January when we rolled out a violent crime plan for the city of Dallas. And week over week, we were seeing a reduction in violent crime. And right around March 26th to the 29th, which week 13 of the year, there was a stay order put in place, and we saw some additional reductions in crime. But what I can say is the stay order did not have an impact on criminal activity. The criminals did not stay at home. But we are excited to say that we are seeing some reductions in our violent crime. We are down in our homicides by 19%. We're down in our robberies, both business and individual. Business is down 19% and individual robberies. I'm sorry, businesses robberies are down 20% and individual robberies are down 19% for an overall 19.45% overall in robbery. We are still challenged in our aggravated assault as it relates to violent crime. That's our non-fatal shootings, our stabbing, and those are the areas where we are seeing that mostly occur in multifamily development. It's in our southeast, southwest, south central, and our northeast parts of the city. We rolled out a supplemental plan for this summer, our summer crime initiative, to address those multifamily complexes, to address that aggravated assault. But we go down to property crimes. Our property crimes, we're down in all areas of our property crime except our business burglaries, where we're seeing a month-to-date reduction of 32%, but overall year-to-date we're up slightly by 8%. So we are making progress in crime, but we still have a very long way to go. We still have to make sure that the individuals that we go after through our warrant roundup, that we identify and we take off the streets, we've got to figure out how to keep them locked up. We have to make sure that we find opportunities for our young people, because in the summer months, we see where kids are out of school, they have less opportunity to interact and or have positive recreation, that we see an increase in our juvenile crimes and victimization. So we still have work to do in that area. We're working with some philanthropic companies to try and leverage some partnerships to create activities. I rolled out a youth jobs program last year, and where we hired 50 kids. This year, we are having to be innovative. We have to pivot. And so that same level of employment, but we're looking to figure out how we do it virtually, how we do virtual learning, STEAM, and we're just trying to figure it out as we move along, because we are not sure when we will be out of our new normal as it relates to COVID-19, and when we'll be in a position to put a number of kids, a number of people back in the same room. So as it relates to crime, we're attacking it from all areas and trying to ensure that we're covering all of our bases.
This is Deconstructing Dallas. We are speaking with Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the plans for the summer. We'll also talk about street racing and the task force that's been created there. So stay with us through the break. Shawn Williams, Ryan Trimble. This is Deconstructing Dallas. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, Deconstructing Dallas. Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams. Shawn, we are joined today by Dallas Chief of Police, Renee Hall, our good friend. Chief, thank you again for joining us. I wanted to jump in to an issue that's been on people's minds lately. I was out in my neighborhood last night, and I got buzzed by a Porsche 911. Don't know if he was street racing or just out for a joyride, but street racing has become a bit of a challenge in our city and for the department. Can you give us a little insight on the street racing task force and what the department is doing to get a handle on the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Street racing has become this new phenomenon. It started around 2016 here in Dallas. We started to see the street racing pick up, and right around 2018, we developed a task force to address it. And we got much more aggressive in our enforcement efforts to seek to find out where they were going to be. The challenge with racing is these individuals come from all over the state of Texas, from Houston, North Texas, Oklahoma, and in some instances, we've recently here in 2020 received some information from Atlanta and Chicago that they have individuals who are on social media talking about coming to do a Dallas takeover as they've done takeovers in their respective cities. So we've had to increase our level of aggression as it relates to enforcement, and that is tackling it from a technology perspective, following these individuals on social media, and getting the intel before they show up. That is not always an absolute science. But that is where we are right now. We have a task force that's comprised of multiple officers from around the entire city and every subdivision. And we've outlined the very high probable locations that these individuals tend to congregate. We have issued multiple citations. Just this year alone, we've issued 5,425 citations. We've made 352 arrests. 86 of those are felony arrests, because this is not just street racing. This is violent behavior. These individuals have firearms. They're shooting from their vehicles. They're, spinning out in the street. And in multiple instances, we've had accidents where individuals have died as a result of these accidents. So, there's narcotics. And so we are aggressive in our efforts for that. We recognize that the citations and the arrests were not enough. So we've recently gone to our city council to get a spectator ordinance, because we recognize for them it's a sport, but there is no sport unless there are spectators. So we have a spectator ordinance that makes it a crime to watch this activity, and then we can actually seize the vehicles, make arrests for those individuals who are actually watching this street racing. And so, again, as aggressive as we know how, getting as much intelligence as we can on the front end, and being prepared that when they show up, that we're ready to stop this activity before it actually gets started.
Now, Chief, you mentioned earlier, you talked a little bit about the summer months, and traditionally we know that crime ticks up in those months. And I wanted to see what the department, what your plans are this year to try to get out in front of it.
And so thank you for that, Shawn. We actually rolled out our summer crime initiative on April 29th. And we have a number of operations that we move forward in the city, and that is one of is Operation Beach Street, and it's well, we're actually looking at the areas where we are seeing the most of our aggravated assaults. As I talked about the shootings, the stabbings. Those are the things that challenge us the most, and we have to get a handle on. And so during the summer months, we did the analysis, and it led us to those multifamily developments, and that's where our Operation Beach Street takes place. We've identified a number of multifamily developments around the city in our high crime areas, and we will be targeting them by actually beating the streets. The officers are performing foot patrols as well as directed patrols, engaging the community, all during COVID. And so, you know, although we're challenged from a social distancing, we're still keeping our 6 feet, but we're engaging the community and making sure that we are being proactive as it relates to the apartment complexes to prevent some of these shootings from happening. We also have a covert activity that we will be doing. It's a lot of undercover work by our Vice and our narcotics because most of our non-fatal shootings are derived from either argument, conflict, and a large portion of them are surrounded by narcotics, marijuana being the largest narcotic that we see involved in a lot of our shootings. And so we have some undercover operations as it relates to that. Continuing with our violent crime plan, none of that has changed. The summer crime plan is just a supplement to address some of those gaps and fill in those gaps. And as it relates to our youth, we've had multiple teleconferences working with groups like Big Thought, Urban Specialists, as well as our program, PALS, that offer multiple opportunities for our youth. But this is to get a online platform and to see if we're able to deliver and render some services that would benefit the youth that are typically involved in violent activity during the summer months. So we're trying to target them, give them something to do, create something that's that's interesting and entertaining for them. We're talking about online concerts. We see as adults where D-Nice will hold a concert and have every adult's attention for hours. And so if we can do that for our kids and also offer them something while we're engaged in that space, that's also a plus for us. So we're trying to be as innovative as we can to identify the challenges that our youth face, and so we can truly keep them from being victims and or committing crimes during these summer months.
Chief, you mentioned some of the programs related to community outreach, and that's an area that's very special to my heart since I worked in community affairs and community engagement. So I did want to ask you to let us know what's going on right now with your community outreach efforts. I know Jolie Robinson does a great job there along with her staff. So I wanted to see what's the latest.
So you know what, and I just have to take my hat off to Jolie. She is a gem to the Dallas Police Department. And although we have had stay orders and we have not resumed our normal activities, they have taken most of their youth and community engagement to the web or the technology platform. All of their community meetings are done virtual. They are entertaining the kids via teleconference and through the web, Zoom, and Teams. They held a Easter egg hunt over the webinar. And so it's conducting all of our same programming, whether it is our Junior Explorers and all of our PALS events, but we've moved them to a technology platform. So that's just an example of what we have to do in this new normal that we're operating in, and we pivoted and made the adjustments. And I think she is phenomenal, always coming up with new ideas and new ways to engage the kids. And now we're doing it virtually.
Chief, can you give us just a high level, state of the department, how you feel, things are going, just morale, everything that you would say, which would indicate what the state is of the Dallas Police Department?